Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the first installment of KnR Live, where we will be bringing you the entertainment and other times we'll be doing other things. So Rick, how are you today?
I am good today. I'm doing good, Kyle. Thanks for welcoming me in here. This is going to be our first episode of what we're going to try for a few different things, and I'm glad to be the first guest and a host.
Yes.
And a guest host, a host guest. It's yes.
Yeah, you're the guest to my host, and I'm the host to your guest, and I'm also the guest to your host, and you are the host to my guest.
Sure.
Well, today on this first episode, we thought it'd be super exciting to talk about exciting things, and we are going to be featuring Rick's newest album, your new album, Rick, called
Cartography.
Cartography. All right, It's going to be super exciting. But before we get into it, let's move on to our first segment called "Here's to That."
What we're gonna do on this segment is for Here's to That, we basically we're taking these little minor conveniences that we have in life and just kind of giving them the spotlight that they really deserve. Like whenever you get a large fry at McDonald's, but you really ordered a small, and you go back and say, "Hey, I ordered a small," and they're like, "That's okay." These are the kind of things that we're shining a light on. And this week we're gonna start this out. And Kyle, why don't you start us out with this week's Here's to That?
So here's to the friend that you are sitting across from at a table where you accidentally touch legs with or make some kind of awkward contact. You get our cheers today because you took control of a potentially awkward situation that would make me feel mildly uncomfortable. To our homies who got our back, even from the other side of a small table, here's to that.
Here's to that.
And so number two, here's to the companies who recognize that many people were either laid off or endured pay cuts during quarantine. Ergo, they did not price gouge the hot mess out of quarantine items. You get our cheers today because you are a company full of morally and ethically good people. Ladies and gentlemen, here's to that.
Here's to that. Yes. I don't actually use I was about to say I don't use that much toilet paper, and that's totally not what I mean. But whenever the toilet paper shortage came about, I was just like, I'm fine for right now. And you watch these people bring like rolls upon rolls out. I'm just thinking, like, do these people have medical problems, irregularity problems? I don't know.
Well, you know what, Rick? I'm just gonna go ahead and plug this an unintentional third. Here's to that. Here's to you, Rick, for abiding by your moral and ethical code to let other people have the toilet paper that you don't need. Here's to that. Here's to you.
Thanks. That's it makes me feel special. Whatever.
Ladies and gentlemen, this has been Here's to That. So now, before we get into the details of your album, Rick, let's talk about what people should expect from your album. Kind of give us an overview of what we should expect to hear.
Sure. So, basically, the reason that I ended up doing this album was just because, let me think of it. Like, I could start out with probably about a year and a half, 2 years ago, or something like that. I started a top 40 cover group. Before we all basically went into hiding, there were these things called bars and live shows and live music that people played. And so I started a top 40 cover group so that we could get some gigs, make a little bit of money and play some music that we're familiar with and really like easy stuff to do. And it was a ton of fun. Like we were playing pretty much right up until they started closing everything down. And in this whole thing, it kind of reminded me of like music that kind of used to listen to as kids. Really put a focus on kind of what we were playing in our cover group with like 90s and 2000s music and some stuff like that. And like you and I actually used to play music kind of like that together.
That we did.
Once.
That we did.
Yeah. And so what I was trying to do with this album is basically just kind of revisiting that feel, um, and ultimately also to have some music that my friends and family can kind of hop onto, because most of what I do right now, or like have done kind of in the past and probably will be doing, it's usually like metal music, something a little bit heavier, and not everyone's into that, which is
Right.
fine. But with this is basically just kind of like generic rock, pop rock, and really, really easy to listen to by pretty much all my friends and family, I think. And so that's kind of what that was. I also wanted to kind of stretch my legs as a songwriter, I guess, because I don't really write too much, I don't think, and especially with like writing lyrics and things, I am the furthest thing from a poet that I could imagine. But with this, I feel like I did a pretty good job with it. Of course, that's going to be up to most everyone else who listens to it.
Sure.
But I feel like I did pretty good with it. I really got to kind of practice my craft as a songwriter, and that's kind of what this is. It's something for everyone who wants to hear some easy listening music, and um, yeah, me basically a way for me to get some practice in for things I don't do all the time.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Rick gave me this album, before all you guys heard it. So, haha. But also, to help with this review, I gotta say, I really do. I love it, and I'll tell you why I love it, because I was somewhat of a '90s kid. I spent 6 years in the '90s, but more so, you know, listening to the music than I listened to it later in life. But well, listening to this music, I mean, it just brings me back to like super warm, good nostalgic feelings, as well as intriguing. Just my musical side brain of my brain. But anyway, we'll talk about more than that in the questions to come. First, you guys take a look at this album artwork. You want to, Rick? Do you want to go ahead and tell us more about the idea behind this?
Sure. So,
Yeah.
the name of the album is called Cartography. And the reason for that is basically because the foundation of this album is based on one of the songs called "Map of My Heart." Um, I wrote that song probably about like 2.5 years ago or something like that, and it was basically interest from that and people saying, "Hey, this sounds really good. Are you going to release it anywhere and whatnot?" And there's a version of it somewhere on the web, but basically, I kind of turned that into the like building block of everything else that's on here. Um, so from that, when I was trying to decide a name, I just kind of thought, well, this song is pretty much the reason that I made this album in the first place. So that's kind of where Cartography came from.
Right.
Um, that kind of flowed out into ideas on what's going to complement that the best. So I approached a friend of mine, Caleb Hartzell, who, for all intents and purposes, should absolutely be a photographer for National Geographic. Just he's not, as far as I know, but I mean, if you look at his photography and stuff, you'd see that he kind of travels the world. With his wife, I think, and like takes really good pictures of landscapes and places he visits. And one of these, the picture on there is a mountain range in France. I forget exactly what it is. I have it written down somewhere, but I came across that and told him, hey, this is a project that I'm doing. I want to see if I can like use one of your photos. And he's like, yeah, absolutely, that would be super cool. So I ended up picking that one, and I had some edits done by Miss Kristen Jones. She kind of inlaid some of the little like topographical symbols that you'll see on the mountain and stuff there, kind of mimicking what is basically like a map that a cartographer would make with all
Hmm.
the topography and stuff. So pretty simple idea, and I think it was done pretty well by both Caleb and Kristen. So a major shout out to them. If you ever like need some photography or edits done, they are like super good at what they do. I would recommend them 100%.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, the album looks great, and so I'm super excited for everybody else to hear it. But how about we do this? Let's get into some album questions. All right?
Let's go.
Okay, so question number one. How did you decide the order of the album? Because there's a lot of songs in there. And, you know, what, 8, 9, 10?
The order of the album was, it should be one of the easiest things to do, but it was a struggle for me.
Mm.
Many other like albums and like EPs and stuff that I've done, it's the way the songs are laid out, it just makes sense where they're supposed to go and how they're supposed to flow into one another. This album in particular, like a lot of them do kind of like go into the next one pretty naturally, and you can see why they're tied together in a way. But I probably had about 4 to 5 different like real solid ideas on this is what the order should be, and I never go through that many iterations. Like it's just like I could put these two together, but nah, that doesn't really make a whole lot of sense.
Mm.
I really actually kind of struggle with putting these together, but I think what we have right now is probably I think it's the best version of how they can all kind of flow into each other. But yeah, so that's that was a struggle for me, to be honest, but I think it ended up pretty good.
Absolutely. Let me get into another question. Okay, so only three songs in, I can tell that you've had a lot of music theory training. Now, talk to me about how you made me feel intrigued by not knowing what to expect in the music, while also having a sense of familiarity, if that makes sense.
Yeah, so yeah, I studied music and sound recording technology over at Texas State University here in San Marcos, and like before that, of course, I did a lot of music in high school and whatnot.
Sure.
So I just kind of took that a bit further and going through college and such. So whenever if you tell like a real seasoned musician, say, hey, make a pop song, they'll be like, okay, like what do I do with this? Because um it's I don't necessarily like want to discredit it, but it's very simple to write something that's pretty catchy, and
Yeah, I
it's
mean
just a real
it's simple, but it's I mean it like you said it's catchy, so it's like you have a sense of completeness, you know.
Yeah, so I wanted to try and find a balance, I guess, between like I don't want to make some super cliche like 3 chord song or whatever, like
Hmm.
do I wanted to do something that had that feel but was far from the 145 that musicians will tell you.
Mm,
So,
yeah,
uh,
and for those of you that don't know what 145 is, da 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 da. That's basically what it is.
just think like the 3 chords that the Ramones play in Blitzkrieg Bop. So yeah, there's I kind of did the best compromise I could in most of these. So um you can kind of feel where the chords are going and such, but I still wanted to put some variety in there.
Right.
I think the best example that I was kind of happy, like real happy with the way it turned out was for the solo section in "Save Your Life Again."
Mm-hmm.
I think the second track.
Sure.
Whenever the solo came up, I was just like, okay, how do I make this interesting and kind of change things up to put a solo in there? And I ended up just like turning some things like, hey, let's play this chord minor. Oh, it sounds weird, but throw all the other elements into that where they're following the same pattern, and it builds upon itself. It really
Yeah.
creates like a nice bed. Like you think one person makes a mistake, but if everyone kind of adheres to that mistake and uh, makes it not sound like a mistake, then that's I guess That's how you do music a little bit differently in some cases. And I am certain so many people are going to disagree with me on that, which is fine. I might be wrong. But
Well, in my experience, in some somewhat of jazz experience, it's all about you can do whatever you want, but at least
be sure other people are doing that with you, I guess.
that, and also there's got to be one small point where it comes together, and then you can go back and do whatever you want. So that's kind of my experience. Yeah.
No, yeah, that's so that's I think that's a good way to kind of describe how the music went, and that like it's easy enough to listen and understand what's going on, even if you're not a musician.
Right.
And from that, there's still something in there that is interesting that people who are familiar with making music and whatnot, they'll go, oh, that's an interesting direction
Right.
you took or whatever. There's spots in there, but there's a compromise on that. I feel like I tried to do
Sure.
with it.
Sure.
Sense. Right, so I'm going to flip it on you now, and because I'm also a host of this, I'm going to introduce our next segment, which is Fan Mail. So with Fan Mail, we take letters that you sent us and letters that people absolutely didn't send us and answer their questions and read it here on the show. You want to go ahead and get started with our first one, Kyle?
Absolutely. So let's see. First, we got from B Donkadonk.
B Donkadonk. Hello, B Donkadonk.
So he says, would you rather be buried in a coffin filled with ranch dressing or nacho cheese? Why don't you answer this first, Rick?
Ooh, I am not that big a fan of ranch dressing. I mean, I wouldn't want to be buried in a coffin with any of these. And B Donkadonk, this is a weird question, but it's perfect. I'd have to go with the nacho cheese, maybe with like actual tortilla chips in there too.
Yeah, I was gonna say I would agree with you. I definitely want those chips, and it'd be awesome, if I could just kind of snack some jalapenos. So next one we have here from Phineas Rilbin. Is that, I think I'm saying that correctly?
Phoebus Rilbin.
Rilbin, yes.
There we go.
And they say, where were you when the Fire Nation attacked?
On vacation. All right, great fan mail. Send it into us at Rick and Kyle at the internet
slash Yahoo
.gov, and yeah. All right, everyone. Here is today's top 11 list.
Hey, y'all. Here's something you won't want to miss. Let's all listen to the top
11
list.
All right, so let me get our top 11 list here. All right, tonight's top 11 list. Tonight? Who knows when you're watching this?
That's true.
Or listening to this? I don't know. Who cares? Okay. Today, tonight, and or any time of day that you're listening to this top 11 list is the top 11 inappropriate places to dab. Kyle, can you give us an example of a dab real quick? Thank you. That was beautiful. Tonight, okay, top 11 inappropriate places to dab. Number 11. After purchasing Tic Tacs at a gas station.
A dab.
Number 10. Right before you get your anesthesia for surgery. Okay. Number 9. While on the phone with your lawyer.
Oh.
And number 8. Actually on the phone with anyone because it just doesn't work. Number 7. On the award pedestal for the Olympics.
Can you imagine if Michael Phelps just yeeted his nose into the corner of his arm?
I can. That'd be great. Seems like something he would do if somebody gave him the appropriate amount of money. Let's do number 6. After receiving test results that state you tested positive for COVID.
Oh my gosh.
Put your mask on and then do the dab. Number 5. On KNR Live. Dab. Okay, stop that. It's inappropriate.
That's inappropriate.
Number 4. When a plane lands successfully. Although that's probably better than like whenever people clap at it. Why do you do that? Number 3. After discovering there actually are hot singles in your neighborhood ready to meet you. Number 2. When you get the chilling feeling that at some point iCarly is probably going to get a reboot. And the number 1 most inappropriate place to dab.
Let's get a drum roll, please.
After a State of the Union address. Thank you.
Hey y'all, here's something you won't want to miss. Let's all listen to the top
11.
list.
Okay, cool. Let's go on to a sponsor break. Kyle, pay our bills for us, please.
This stream is brought to you by BreadX. Are you tired of bread not being in your pantry? Call BreadX for same-day bread delivery. We're the dough for those on the go, and we know dough. Yo. Sign up for a discount today at breadx.com/KnR Live, which totally works. If it doesn't, then you probably misspelled it or something. Try again. BreadX, delivering yeast from west to east. So let's go ahead and move on to another question here. So Rick, this album that we're talking about, Cartography, this album seems to take the listener on a journey. Can you talk more about that? What are you wanting the listener to take away from this album?
If it is, I really didn't intend for it to be such a journey, I guess. Really just kind of a collection of songs, but there's definitely a lot of themes and a lot of like subject matter on it.
Yeah.
No, they all just kind of deal with whatever I was whatever I thought to make content for at the time. Like Exhibit A, like the album starts out basically with a story that is, it's not really a story, it's basically like a power trip with the idea of just like having all this power over abusers and such. Because I kind of wrote it off of a story which was basically, you find somebody who's in like some kind of situation of being abused, whether that's by a partner or by like an employer or like any kind of relationship you might have. And I ran into something like that too, where the person is just like, no, I'm dealing with it on my own, please don't help me, only I know how I. And like nothing frustrates me more than like seeing like injustice like this.
For sure.
Somebody asking me, please do nothing about this. It's that's one of the stories that goes through, and then like right after that it goes into something easier. Like the like Map of My Heart was really just a writing prompt. That was, I really just like wrote the song based off of the idea of saying like write a song or a poem about falling in love with a cartographer. And that's just as simple as it. It's not about anyone in particular, or at least not yet.
That's wonderful wordplay, though.
Thank you. Yeah, like it's kind of all over the place. Probably the most incoherent and doesn't mean a whole lot is Cease and Desist. Because I was really just trying to find stuff that worked with it.
Yeah.
But I think I did kind of paint a picture of like that one's kind of anxiety and not really being so certain about like I'm in a period of turmoil. What do I do? And that's where the idea came from for the chorus, which is like we find ourselves so far away with nobody to really lead us or whatever. So what do we do? Well, like find your opportunity and act on it, basically. And if you can sit still and look for it, you'll be able to do it, which is listen for the ready, set, go.
Right.
And then go do the thing. Those are just a couple of examples, really. This album should, I guess, take you on a journey of some kind, but it's many, many different chapters.
Okay.
I guess.
Yeah.
And not all necessarily about the same thing.
Yeah. As I was listening, I kind of discovered that there was a story for each one, as we talked about kind of earlier, and it really did kind of take me on this, somewhat emotional but somewhat it's just an intriguing journey, where I didn't want to turn it off because I mean, although the songs kind of we're in the same category, genre, I wasn't like it was all different yet telling the same story, if that makes sense. It's kind of like a little conundrum, little paradox, if you will. I don't know.
Yeah, I guess so. It's all in what you like. A lot of people kind of agree on the idea that art is like once once I release my art to the public, it's no longer mine. It belongs to everyone. So
Right.
it is.
Right. That's good.
It's what you make of it, really, and that's fine. I like what I did. I made music that I wanted to listen to, basically, in this sort of form and genre, and like from there, now it's kind of out of my hands.
Right.
It depends on what everyone else thinks of it, whether they like it or not, and that's fine.
Yeah, kind of along the same lines. To me, it kind of feels like this album pleases like a lot of people. Like you get millennials. They get like the satisfaction of nostalgia, and like Gen Zers and kind of around that generation, they get the satisfaction of like the intrigue of more modern elements. You think that's accurate, or is that what you're wanting to accomplish?
I think so. I mean, definitely kind of hitting on sort of the '90s nostalgia.
Yeah.
That went into a lot of these for sure.
Right.
A lot of what I threw into it also is more of like ideas that I already had too, from like different periods of time. Like "Map of My Heart" was a song that I meant to be played by my old pop punk group called Dancing with Geppetto,
Uh huh.
and that that was that was for that one, and then also what I assume is going to be the most popular one is what is it? "Nothing Without You" with Christina Murphy,
Yeah.
and that that song I think is probably like to me, it's probably the catchiest, the one that lots of people are probably going to like the most. And Christina did such a good job. If you don't know who she is, Christina is the lead singer of the Austin pop punk group called Forever Starts Today.
Mm.
Probably, like in my opinion, one of the most successful bands in that field right now. Like they've been all over the place. They're signed to a label. I can't remember what it is, but they've taken those steps. They're really great. Christina's a great friend of mine, and she sounds wonderful. Such a good singer. Such a bunch of like group of great people to be around too. So that one's real cool. Definitely a shout out to Christina. I think there's a lot there that lots of people can check for, like with that. Like for people who like pop punk music, that's going to be a big hit.
Right.
For people who like heavier, like heavier stuff, like "Cease and Desist" is probably a good one.
Yes.
If you like slower songs, "Lies Highlights," probably a good one. I think there's something here for everybody, or
Yeah.
at least a wide variety of people.
Absolutely. That's what I would say. Well, I'm going to go ahead and say by far my favorite song is Quote from Confucius, probably. That's the name of the song, Quote from Confucius, probably. But I mean, after that is your song Wall Martyr. Musically, my brain, like, it wants to party. We're going to take a little listen, and then I want you to talk about the inspiration for that song and the lyrics. Here is a part of Wall Martyr.
You're free to slam your fist upon the ground till the master comes around.
All right, so obviously, what I said was pretty accurate. My brain like literally wants to party. So talk to us more about the song, how you came up with it, and the lyrics, and how you came up with those.
Yeah, so the idea that kind of started the music was just as simple as I picked up my acoustic guitar and I was just trying to think of some ideas and I went dun it, and apparently that's all that gets me going for it. I go, I could turn this into something, all right, whatever.
Yeah.
And so I just kind of turned that into it just felt natural to make that sort of a troubadour bardish kind of
Yeah.
gig or whatever. It's like I could the way I think about that is, kind of break down the instruments to something a little bit simpler. You could play this like on a street corner with people who are like in Irish clothing and whatnot and just hopping around. Dun, 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 dun.
Yeah.
I would love
Absolutely.
to do that.
Absolutely.
So, and the context for that, I must have like had a bad day where somebody like yelled at me at work or something,
Mm.
and because that's basically what it is. It's pretty easy to catch on to like um the idea is that somebody comes up to you, starts yelling about something that you have no control, no power over, or whatever. Which is like, okay, does my name tag say that I can help you? Like, hello, I'm somebody who can fix your problems. I
Mm.
am a like supervisor or whatever. No, I'm like checking out groceries or whatever, whatever it is. Like, why are you yelling at me? I get it, but and like also in the idea of like you're yelling about something that just doesn't matter at all, and part of the response is sure, go ahead and keep doing that. That's fine. You're allowed to feel this way, I guess. But when my boss gets here, when the master comes around, you're gonna have to start making sense or whatever, because they're not gonna have any of it or whatever.
Yeah.
Um,
So it kind of puts things in perspective. It seems like we're like, you can keep doing that, but eventually there's gonna
mm.
come a point where you're gonna have to stop doing that.
Yeah, like anyone who works at a job who has to deal with your clients or customers daily is probably going to be able to relate to it. So
Yeah, for sure.
that'll be fun. I
Absolutely.
was so I don't know, I was so happy I came up with the idea of wall martyr.
Yeah.
I thought I don't know, it fits so well and I love it.
Yeah. I agree with that. Okay. Well, let's do one more question here. So, would you say personally that this album is the epitome of your personality, or not, or at least kind of exemplifies it, or not at all, or maybe
Yeah.
somewhere in the middle?
So, it's a good representation in like I guess how diverse I tried to make it.
Yeah.
So like Exhibit A, I'm a little bit angry. Save Your Life again, I'm a little bit irritated. Weekend Drive, I'm like somber, not really sad, but
Yeah.
just more of like somber and disappointed. And then that goes to happy and regretful and so many different things. So I guess in the sense that it goes everywhere at different points in time, sure, but I think
Mm-hmm.
that's pretty common to like most human beings in
Yeah.
general.
Yeah.
You're going to be happy and you're going to be happy and then you're going to be sad and then you're going to like go on to whatever life takes you to. And what is the proverb of the man who comes to like the man who loses everything, his wife leaves him, he loses his job, and like everything falls apart in his life, so he goes to a monk who lives in the mountains and says, sir, this is everything that happened to me. My life is in shambles and I just don't know what to do. And he says, my child, this will pass. And basically saying you just have to trust time. And
Mm.
he goes along and he comes back like a couple of months later. Says, hey, you were right. Like everything changed. I got a better job. I got a brand new wife and she's super good to me. Everything's going really well. So thank you for that advice. He says, that's great, my child. But remember, this too will pass.
Mm.
It's the whole idea of like it's the whole idea of like things are going to be in constant motion. So
Right. Yeah.
in that sense, I guess it does kind of explain like my personality, and that it changes, and my
Sure.
moods and things that I focus on. Yeah, it changes over time. I guess that's pretty accurate.
Yeah. I've heard it said before, and I've heard it said a lot that we just go from mountains to valleys. So there's not really an in between. It's either you're on your way down or you are on your way up, which is good, because it just makes us better as people, makes us stronger, and gives us perspective and everything. So that's really cool. Well, awesome. I appreciate you talking us through your new album, ladies and gentlemen. If you have not downloaded it, what are you doing? Go ahead and download Cartography by Jericho Silver, and just go ahead and bless yourself, all right, and dab on them. So make sure that you follow Jericho Silver Music. His socials will be on the description below. Again, bless the mess out of yourself. Also, make sure you follow us on Instagram. Our socials will be in the description below. And Rick, why don't you hit him with our signature and famous and constant and steadfast sign off.
The sign-off phrase, yes, the one that we're gonna use for everything. This is KnR Live, reminding you to be a person.